Ian, who is your dick of the year?
Yeah, you gave me this this category, and
I don't know why.
It's an impossible fucking question, isn't it? I mean, it's like there's just too much competition. So I just thought, I was going to come up with some kind of hipster, some kind of junior minister, and then I just thought, no. I mean, obviously, just objectively, the right answer to this question is the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and it is worth just taking stock because it's now a year since the election. I'm just thinking the full scale of this man's failure in every capacity. I mean, he's failed on internal party management. He's failed really on having any kind of meaningful policy agenda at all or implementing it. He's failed, bringing the country back together, which he promised he would do when he stood on the steps of Downing Street after the election. He's failed fundamentally on a properly deep spiritual level as someone in a position of authority to have the stature for the role. He's failed on COVID over and over and over again. He failed on the first lockdown, failed on opening up from the lockdown. He failed on tiers. He failed on the second lockdown. He's now in the process of failing over Christmas. Out there today saying, we just passed this law on Christmas, but we're not actually expecting you to follow the law. We want you to do the opposite of the thing that the law actually says. We just think you absolute craven, cowardly twat. Lives will be lost on the basis of the prevarication which you are demonstrating right now. He's failed on the measures themselves. He's failed on communicating them. He's failed on maintaining public trust because of the Dominic Cummings going to Barnard Castle debacle, where he didn't even have the bravery to sack him in that moment, despite the fact that would sever the public's faith in the messages that were coming from government. And the cost of this, yesterday, 506 people died from COVID. 506 people died. When you look at these numbers daily, it's like Roz was sort of alluding to a moment ago, it's almost impossible to comprehend that this is fucking happening right now. And it's true that all governments would struggle, but it is not true that all governments have failed to deal with this thing. He has catastrophically failed over and over and over again. And that, honestly, if there was any justice in the fucking world, he would be considered Dick of the Year as an honorary position from now for the next 100 years in recognition of what he has fucked up over the course of the last 12 months.
I think when you bring in all the people dying, Dick seems rather generous.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
It seems rather almost lovable. And who takes the award for Bullet Dodger of the Year?
I mean, I was going to say probably Sunak, but I think ultimately, and again, this is predictable, and I apologize for that. But on the other hand, it's objectively true, so I have no other choice. It has to be Jeremy Corbyn, doesn't it? It has to be, because you look at the year that we've had, and you think, do you remember when reputations died? Do you remember when people's reputation was contingent on their actions? And this year, he was found to have allowed anti-Semitism to take root in the fucking opposition party, in the Labour Party. And he was not only that, but found guilty himself of having made anti-Semitic statements and then having his own office interfere in the investigation of those statements. And instead of fucking recognizing it, he came out and did it again. And what that did, it was much bigger than him. It meant that Labour couldn't deal with the problem. It meant that anyone who considered themselves loyal to Corbyn or have warm feelings towards him was suddenly sort of triangulated into a position where they were opposed to the efforts to root it out of the Labour Party. Now that is fucking diabolical on a moral level that I scarcely have the words to fucking describe. And yet there he is now, still treated as some kind of idiot saint. He is on the fucking Canary website yesterday, this conspiracy theorist fucking cesspit. And there he is talking to his people, and they are not going away. He has managed to solidify that tribal identity with all the poison in it in a way that stops the Labour Party moving on, prevents anti-Semitism being rooted out of it. So if that's not dodging a bullet, I don't fucking know what is. But then at the same time, I honestly do not know how he or his followers at the moment sleep at night.